Hello, Open Spokes. It's Jeremy on Thursday evening. We're about 2 weeks into our topic on teaching the tough here, and I thought I'd throw in my video. I was inspired because I got a phone call today from a parent about the topics I've been teaching lately, specifically Aboriginal cultural education topics. And one of my students has been fixated a little bit on a lot of the negative aspects of Aboriginal histories and what we have done as a dominant culture to the Aboriginal culture and people in specifically in residential schools and some of the atrocities that have gone on there. And I really struggled with that. I've been reflecting on this for weeks now, how this has gone down, and what I would do next week, or sorry, next year. I'll pause as the car goes by. So I've been really reflective and thinking, do I do things the same way next year? Because there is some really negative things. There is some really harsh and intense topics that go on in that, and do I mellow them out and make them more palatable, or at least I don't even know what the word is to say, just not as extreme. Still get the message across. And I think that no, I don't think I would. I think students and people need to know and need to have that emotional connection with the negative, especially as we're talking about Aboriginal cultures and the constant comment, why don't you just get over it? It didn't happen to you. Well, it did happen to you for many, and getting over it's not really possible because things were so bad. So I think people need to know how bad, and so I put that out there. Now I teach grade 6 and 7, and they're kind of on the cusp of really hearing some of the gory details. Maybe not the most appropriate for most topics, but that one I think is important to have in there. And I think I'd do it again. Maybe a little bit different. Maybe I'd set it up a little bit different, and debrief a little more. I do both of those things, but I think I need to do both more. So to have fewer concerned parents, and granted I've only had one that I've heard from, but I do have concerned parents about the tough topics that are going on, and I was able to appease this parent, sorry, tonight, and realize that that there's lots of good that was talked about as well, and this student just happened to focus on the bad. So I think the main lesson I've learned from this, and with many other things, is that proper planning is probably appropriate to really get the best out of my lessons and the most out of them for students, and to handle these situations that may arise. Perhaps could have better communication with parents about that. But I think I've mentioned at the same time, I don't want to poison my lessons with the unintentional ignorance of parents. And along those lines, I can speak to that for just a moment. On a class field trip last week, one of the parents shared with me how she was helping to proofread and edit the reflective essay that students wrote on their Aboriginal learning in recent weeks. And she was talking about how her daughter wrote that the purpose of Indian residential schools was to kill the Indian in the child. Now, Mom thought that was too strong a word, and wanted to replace it with something like suppress. I probably missed an opportunity to have an educational moment with Mom there, but the official policy was to kill the Indian and the child, and kill was the word. I think it could be easily argued that the official policy in Canada would have been to kill the Indian, period, if that was really seen as being feasible. But in such a broad country, it wasn't. So I'm proud of my student for having a real strong worldview there, and at the same time, there's influence from parents that isn't necessarily accurate, and we talked about a lot of topics and issues there that people just don't know about, especially all the prejudice surrounding Aboriginal culture, and what the truth is, and what the reasons are for some of things that look like stereotypes that aren't necessarily stereotypes. So yeah, I think that communicating and preparing, and you know what, practicing, because this is the first time I've gone through such an intense yet meaningful and powerful unit that I think students got a lot out of and have the potential to really make some real changes in the way they see the world and help to make it a better place. With that, I think I will sign off and head back to polishing up report cards. It is so close to the end. I'm very much looking forward to that, and having more time to watch all the rest of your videos, because it's been hard to keep up for sure. So look forward to seeing you all in the very near future. Have a great night.